Hi everyone. In last sessions, what we discussed? We discussed about the EFS. What is the EFS? EFS is nothing but Elastic File System. So already we know that I want to suppose we have the one file. In that file, I want to share both of VM or number of VMs. Then we can use of the EFS. So we can suppose as a it is a shared file system also. So today we will discuss about of the new services that is called as a Route 53. So before going to the jump on the Route 53, so we will see the first host the our static website. So we know that how to host the static website. Suppose I want to host the static website, then we can use of the S3 bucket. Suppose I want to host the another dynamic website or static website, then we can use of the bin stack service. Otherwise, we can use of the Lambda function. So we will create here the one S3 simple storage bucket, and once we created the S3 simple services bucket here, then we will launch the one static website. Already we discussed about of the how to launch the static website, how to host the static website. Already we know that. So here you can see here the I'm selecting here the Mumbai region specific. Then I am going to with general purpose. Then just we have to enter the unique name of the bucket name. Suppose I'm entering here the test 0 1 2 3 4, something like this, whatever it can be bucket name here, but it should have the unique name. Then I'm selecting here the on object ownership here, the ACLs enabled here. Then I'm untick mark here the block all public access. I want to give the access to the public also. I'm selecting here the acknowledgement here. So I'm not changing anything here. We know that already bucket versioning, then tags and everything in that. So just I'm going to create here the one bucket here. Once we create the bucket here, so it will be create our bucket here. Then I want to upload the objects here. So already we know that I want to upload the two files for my static website. Then how to upload it? So we have the object here. So this is my bucket name. In that object we have the upload option is there. Then in that upload options we have the add folder as well as add files. So I'm going with add files here. Already we created the existing one, error.html and index.html. So just I'm selecting here both of files here. So once we created the both of files here, just here we have the permissions. Make sure we have to grant public read access to everyone. If we selected the private, then we no one can access our static website. So you can see here the we have to select the acknowledgement. Once we upload it, then we have to, you can see here the I have uploaded here the, then just I'm going to the close here in that properties. So you can see here the in that properties here, so we have the option static website hosting. So just we have to click on the ed and then we have to enable here. Once we click on the enable here static website hosting, then host static website, then direct request for an object. If you want to direct that access due to the user that particular of the object, then you have to select it. Right now we are going with static website. So right now I'm selecting here the static website here. And then index.html. What was the my file name? Here the error.html. So we have selected here the documentation part. So error document, this is the optional, but if you want to give the eco-friendly message to the user, then that's why I have uploaded here the error document. Then this is my main object, which is a mandatory while we uploading of the static website. So this is my index.html. So we have the actual website content in this file. After that, just I'm saving the changes here. So whatever we have the changes here, so we selected here the, then you can see here the bucket website endpoint. What is the endpoint? Already we discussed about of the endpoint. Endpoint is nothing but if we have the Flipkart application, if we have the Amazon application, at that time this is the URL. This is my endpoint of the application. By using of the endpoint, we can access our application. So we can see here the this is my bucket website endpoint. Once we click on the website bucket endpoint here, you can see here the successfully we uploaded the static website by using of the S3 bucket. You can see here the but whenever we go with endpoint URL, this is the readable? No, this is not readable. So this is not we can say called as a this is not readable. This is we cannot say called as a every time no one remember this endpoint. So that's why we have to go with Route 53. So what is the Route 53? Well, Route 53 is nothing but if you want to suppose I am going to launch one application. So you can take example of the ABC. This is my you can consider of the this is my healthcare application. So that time I want to select my healthcare application URL. So what we have to do here? So we have to purchase the domain name from the different website. So you can see here the we have the bucket here. This is my endpoint URL. This is not readable. We can say call it and we cannot say like that. Hey user, this is my URL, and you have to remember always this is my URL. So no, this is not readable. So we have to make sure the readable of the our application name. So that's why we have to purchase the domain name from the different websites. So we have the GoDaddy.com also here. So whenever we click here the GoDaddy, you can see here the then also we have the hostinger also there. Also from the Amazon, we have the registered domain option is there. We can purchase from the Amazon side also. Suppose I want to purchase the ABC, otherwise you can take example of the any of them. So just you have to search the domain here. Once we search the domain here, you can see abc.com, which is already someone is purchase, then you can see called as a so it will be available of the abcweb.co abc.com. This is already someone is purchased, so that's why you can see here the then we have the another domain name is abc.live abc.news.com each and everything here. So once we purchase that, you can see here the but once we purchase the domain name, then we have to map this domain name to the our application. But while we mapping this one, so we have to something use in that. So we can support as a route 53. Suppose if we have the application here, suppose you can take example of the any of them. So I am going to launch one healthcare domain. Then what we have to do here? So first we have to register the domain name. So how what we can suppose as a suppose I'm saying here the www.abc.com. So this is my domain registration. So we can suppose as a, this is my domain registration because I want to uh, make sure that website name, that application name should be readable. Otherwise, we cannot say like that. This is my URL. This is my endpoint of the application. You have to access it. So we cannot say like that. So make sure we have to readable the URL. Then everyone can access our application. So suppose whenever we take example of the Flipkart.com. So Flipkart.com, this company already purchased this domain name and they are starting to be using the URL, and we can easily remember the application name and we can search. Once we search on the Google, then we will get the easily data from that application. Easily we will get the URL also. By using of the URL, we can enter the in our application. So we can call as a first we have to domain registration. After that, this domain registrations, so we have to map. But for which application we have to map it? So we have to map it our application. Where is our application? So it will be available in our infrastructure. So whenever we can say call as a so infrastructure. So what is the infrastructure? This is my Linux VM. Where we have to launch our application? We have to launch our application in the Linux VM. Already we know that every time if you want to application any kind of the application, if you want to deploy, then we have to use the Linux VM. Then this is my application. So this is my client side machine. So we have to keep the application in this VM. Once we application in this VM, then what we have to use the behind the logic. So we have to create the infrastructure setup, platform setup. Then it will be create a Linux VM. So that's why we created the one Linux VM. In that Linux VM, we install the our application. Once we install our application, then what will be in VM? Suppose whenever we created the one EC2 instances, in that EC2 instances, what we have the two values. One is a public IP, another is a private IP. Already we know that. So already we discussed it. But whenever we using of the this public IP, suppose I'm saying like that, this is my public IP. So suppose I want to access my application. So everyone wants to access my application. At that time, can we provide to this public IP and you can use my public IP and can use my can you enter in my application? No, we cannot say. Whenever we're talking about of the security purpose and each and every point, then we have to say like that. This is my public IP. So for being practices we were using at that time, but whenever we real time talking about of the any of the kind of the application, so we have to first register the domain, that particular the application name, whatever you want to purchase it, you can purchase from the GoDaddy. Then hosting a number of websites are available, you can purchase your application name from that uh, website. Once we purchase it, then within the 24 hours we will get this all information, all domain, each and every part we will get it. Then we can use of the domain name. But whenever once we get the domains from the website side, once we confirm from the application side, you got this domain name. Once we got this domain name, we have to map with our application. But while we mapping of this application, so we have the one middle layer is that is called as a route 53. So what is the route 53? Route 53 is nothing but by using of the route 53 we can host our server name. So we can map our domain name by using of the route 53, we can map with our server name. So then it will be readable. Suppose I'm purchased here the domain name that is called as a ABC. So abc.com, www.abc.com. Then we have to use here the route 53. What is the purpose of the route 53? Route 53 is nothing but we can map by using of the route 53. We can map our uh, domains with our application, and it should be readable our application. So that's why our purpose is the first we have to register the domain. Once we register the domain, then we have to map our domain name with our application name. Once we map this domain name with our application, then anyone can access our application. So we have the one limitations here. Suppose whenever we purchase the domain, at that time we have to use minimum 1 year and maximum we can use of the 10 year. So we have to minimum 1 year for the purchase here. You can see here the whenever we are you can see here the abccenter.net. This is my, you can see you can purchase it adding the domain name and you will get all information whatever you require. Then you can see this is my amount. Then once we click on the domain name here, then what will be the last amount, that amount we have to pay it and we have to purchase it. Then within the 24/7 by we will get all information which is required for the domains, and which is required for the domains, and that domain name we can map with our application by using of the route 53. So once we navigated to here, you can see here the, otherwise you can search here the route 53. So this is my website. We need to the search here the route 53. You can see here the whenever we search of the route 53, you can see here the scalable DNS and domain name registration. What is the DNS? DNS is nothing but domain name systems. So we have the domain name scalable and systems. You can see here the top feature of the traffic flow, then health checkup, then hosted soon domain names and resolves endpoints here. Once we click on the route 53 here, you can see here the, so already we know that what is the purpose of the route 53. So just we discuss by using of route 53 here, we can map our domain with our application. So we have the option is there, we can host our, just a minute, I think I have closed the our static website here. So just I need to click on the here, then where we have the endpoint URL here in the properties, we have the endpoint here. So in that, so what is the DNS? So we discuss about of the DNS. DNS is nothing but domain naming system. So first we have to the register our domain name. If you want to launch our application, then first we require the domain name. So you can click on the here the we have the get started. In the get started we have the first, there is some options. You can see here the register a domain, then transfer domain, then create hosted soon, then configure health checkup, then configure traffic flow, and configure resolve. These are the names. We have the options also transfer domains also. If you want to transfer, then we can transfer. Suppose I have clicked on the registered domain here. By using of the GoDaddy.com, you purchase it, uh, domain name, and you can use it here. Otherwise, we have the option is there. You can see the number of domains here. In that domains, you can see the if you want to particular of the domain name, then we have the purchase. Already we discussed about the minimum it will be for the 1 year, and maximum we can use the for the 10 years. So this is my, suppose we have the, whenever we're talking about here the, this is, suppose we have the domain name, this is my domain name, then by using of the domain name we have to use the route 53. By using of route 53, then we can create here the application URL, and this application URL will be readable to everyone can access our application by using of the URL. Is it possible to read this URL? No, this is not possible to the read, because we can say called as a this is not readable, and we can say called as a this is not remember of the endpoint URL. So that's why we have to keep the domain name for our application. So by using of the domain name, you can see called as a by using of the domain name. Suppose if we are purchasing of the domain name, so we can say called as this is my DNS. So domain name system, domain naming system. After that domain naming system, once you get it, then we have to use the route 53. What is the purpose of the route 53? We can say called as a, by using of route 53, we can map the our domain naming with our application. So this is my application URL. Once we converted that domain name by using of the route 53, once we map DNS with our application. So once we map with our useful URL, then user will be start to the using our application. We can say called as this is my users. So number of user can access our application as per their requirement. Right? Suppose I'm using, suppose we deployed of the healthcare domain. As per customer requirement wise, they search our healthcare domain. Otherwise, we can say what is a health insurance domain. Once we search it, then we will get the record on the Google, and user can access our application. By using of Route 53, we can map our domain name with our application. Once you click on here, the you can see here the we have the route 53, then dashboard, then hosted. So once we purchase from the, we have the option is there, so you can purchase the domain name from here. Suppose I'm searching like this. So if it is available, you can see here the, sorry, you can search here the like this. You can see here the, this is the matching. Suppose if it is not matching the data with our domain, then you cannot see like this. Suppose I'm like this search one, so you can see this is the lengthy domain, only can content of the alphanumeric character and not trading of the this like this. Suppose if it is not valid domain name, then you can see the, this is the domain name, cannot, we can match it. But if it is exact match, then you can see the price with for 1 year, $15 for 1 year. You can select it, then you have to purchase it. We once we proceed, then you have to pay the total. Suppose I am using of the 10 year, minimum for 1 year, maximum for the 10 year. This is our domain. So we are not mapping of the any domain name. I will show you here how to map with our domain name. Suppose we purchase the one domain name here, then we have to click on the create hosted zone here. Otherwise, you can click on here. Once we purchase it, then you have to like this. You can see your domain name is abc.com. So you can search like this. Then once we abc.com, then public hosted zone. If you want to public it, then you can publish it. Otherwise, you can keep as it is private. But my application everyone can access, so that's why I'm using here the public. If you want to private, so if you want to use it for the for limited persons, then you can private it and you can send your link to the that particular the persons. Suppose I want to develop one application only 10 for 10 people, so only 10 people, so you can private hosted zone, keep as it is, then you can share those peoples and those peoples can use it accordingly. But most of the time we have to route the our traffic, whatever we have on the internet, you can use it. You can see here the private hosted zone determination of the how to traffic routed with Amazon of the VPC. What is the VPC? So it will be our last topic for the VPC. VPC is nothing but it's a private cloud. We can say called as a private uh, network. So it's a, we can say called as a private network. So we have the two types of the network. One is a public network and another is a private network. If you want to keep as it is private, then you can use it. But I want to publish it, then you can use it. So on the internet, you can use it. So by using of the Amazon VPC, so it's a virtual private network. So we can call as a private network. By using of this private network, you have to associate it with that one. Then you can start it to the use it. You can see here the to use of the hosted zone to resolve the DNS and queries one from the VPC to the choice. At that time, we have to use the different concept for the NAT gateway. We whenever we are going with a private, then we have to go with NAT gateway. Whenever we are going with public, at that time we have to go with internet gateway. So we will see later on. Our last topic will be after once we completed the Route 53. Our last topic will be VPC. So once we completed the VPC, then we will start our Terraforms because we completed almost 15, uh, 15 services, which is very important for the every DevOps engineer should know. So we completed. Once we VPC is completed, then we will start our Terraform tool. So we can say when we started our DevOps 1 2. So this is my VPC. It's nothing but we can call it a virtual private cloud. We can also call it a also it is a we can call it a network also, because VPC is a very important topic. While we creating of the EC2 instances, we selected of the always default, because for being practices Amazon AWS side, we are getting one default VPC. If you want to create it, then you can create it, because we are right now we are not aware about of the VPC because it's a private cloud. But if once we familiar with VPC, then you can create your VPC and you can use it. So we will discuss each and every point of the VPC. once we come. Then you can see here, if you want to keep the description, then you can add it here. Then if you want to add your tag name, what is the tag name? Tag name is nothing but you have to enter the key name and value. So it's we can so call it a suppose I want to that particular the tag name. So here also we have the tag names. In that tag names, it's a optional of the values and key here. Once we tags here, if you want to host apply to tag in a hosted zone, help to the organize and identify them. You can select it your tag name. Right now I'm not selecting any tag name here. Then if right now just I want to public hosted zone here. Once I click on the created hosted zone, then we will get a one error of it here because we are not purchased the this domain name. So it is not allowing to me route that by using of the route 53, it is not allowing to map with our application. Once we suppose once we purchase this one, then we will get the second uh, windows. In that second windows we have the option is there, we can select our options where we have the data. So right now where we have the data, where we have the static website, right now we have the static website in the S3 bucket. So we can select the S3 bucket. Suppose uh, instead of the S3 bucket, I'm using of the bin stack. Then you can select the bin stack. So exactly we have to select the where is your application hosted in which services. Once that selected of the services name, suppose we use the lambda function. So then just we have to pick the uh, lambda functions. We will get the our application name there in the lambda function. Then once click on the next and we can map the successfully there. Once we map the our domain name with our application, then you can start to use our application and it will be change our URL name. So like this. So right now we have the tested like this, but instead of that, we once we route by using of the route 53, once we map our URL uh, domain name with our application, then we can see like this abc.com and everyone can access our application by using of this URL. So this is the purpose of the route 53. If you want to check how to we can do the practically by using of the route 53, you have to purchase the one domain name for the 1 month. You can purchase for 1 year. It will be cost of the around of the somewhere you can see here the suppose if whenever you purchase this domain name, it will be $15, $16. You can purchase it less amount. Then you can search on the YouTube how to route the how to map our domain name with our application name. So already we know that how to deploy the application by using of the S3 bucket, bin stack, lambda function. Once you launch your application, once you hosted your application, just navigate to the route 53. Then you have the option is there in that hosted zone. Just you have to enter the domain name details. It will be get the domain name within the 24 within the 24 hours. You will get the all information which is the we required for the by using of the route 53 we are mapping of the domain name. So whatever we require the information you will get it from the uh, domain name sites. Once we get the domain name sites all information, then you can use the by using of the route 53. Suppose I want to register here, you can register from here. We have the option is there. Then you can see the DNS management, traffic management. Each and every option is options available on the dashboard here. One in hosted zones, just we have to click on the hosted once just we have to click on it here, and we have to use the valid character of the domain name. Once we enter the valid domain name, then we have to select the public hosted zone. If you want to add the tags, then you can add it. Then just you have to click on the created zone. Then we have the second pop-up window there, so you can select it where exactly your application in which services, then you can select it. If it is Lambda functions, then you can select it. Suppose if we are using the infrastructure as a service, then you have to select the infrastructure as a service. In that, already we know that we have to create the infrastructure setup, then platform setup, and we have to deploy our code. But if we are using the bin stack, then you can select it. If we are using of the Lambda function, then you can select it. If we are using of the S3 bucket, then you can select it, because by using of the S3 bucket, we can launch the static website. Already we know that by using of the I want to launch the one another static website, then we can launch the static website by using of the HTTPD. So this is our we have the different services by using of the Route 53. Just we have to map our domain name with our application. Once it is mapped successfully, then whatever we have the domain name, then we can use for the our application. So we can say call as a it's our application URL. It's called as a endpoint. So what is the endpoint? Endpoint is nothing but it's a application URL, so which is a readable for the each and every users. And by once we search on the Google, then we will get the more information which is related to the that application. Suppose whenever we search on the flipkart.com, then suppose if we already search at the godaddy.com here, so you can see here the how many website is there, how many records we have there. You can see here the so many websites and each and everything. So it will be, so we can say for the this is the SEO. So SEO is nothing but you can see here the sometimes we can see here the how many seconds you are getting this record. So it's a SEO. You can see here the another search, Hostinger, then Wix, then Shopify. Each and every we can say called the number of websites is there. But by using of suppose I want to suppose I search the abc.com. This is my application name. So abc.com will be displayed on the top. Then whenever we search on the Google, then it will be top result within the 10 result. Then we have to work on like this SEO. It's a search engine optimization. So within this record, within this suppose we can say called as a we have the whenever we search the abc.com, so it will be displayed within the 10 result. So we have the option is there. You can see the if you want to use the next it, then you can use it.